Marvel Studios has released 7 original shows on Disney Plus, allowing the MCU to grow vastly. These shows have introduced new characters and storylines in more depth than some solo movies. Fans have been excited about each of these miniseries, but some of the episodes have stood out as exceptionally brilliant. And in this video, we're gonna list down the top 15 MCU episodes on Disney Plus according to IMDb. So sit back and relax. Starting off with number 15, episode 9, season 1 of What If. The last episode of What If picked up where the 8th episode left off, with Ultron running amok in the universe. When the Watcher is pushed to his breaking point, he makes a solemn promise to never change the events he watches. And then he brings together heroes from all the different realities explored in the series so far to form the Guardians of the Multiverse. This episode currently has a rating of 8.4 on IMDb, following by episode 5 of Hawkeye number 14. This episode showed us Clint Barton facing Maya Lopez, whose father he killed as the vigilante Ronin, and this forces him to finally come to terms with what he did as Ronin. We think this 8.5 rated episode gave Maya and Clint some much-needed closure. It also gave Maya's character a second chance, which will lead to her own Disney Plus show, Echo. Fans also found that the growing friendship between Belova and Bishop was a highlight of Hawkeye's run. Next up, Loki's 6th episode on number 13. Fans had high hopes for the last episode of Loki's first season when he and Sylvie went into the fortress at the end of time. And it's safe to say, the episode didn't disappoint at all. We saw Jonathan Majors' He Who Remains, a Kang variant, introduced and possibly set up to fight the Avengers and the upcoming The Kang Dynasty. And instead of a CGI-heavy final battle, it focuses on the franchise's future. For All Time, Always has one of the best endings in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's history on Disney Plus, which gives this episode a rating of 8.6. Moving on at number 12, the first episode of Loki. Glorious Purpose is a great start to Loki's run, which is one of the most rewatchable Disney Plus shows so far. It picks up the God of Mischief's story right after the events of Endgame. We see Loki being taken into custody by the TVA, where he meets Owen Wilson's Agent Mobius. Even though some fans didn't like how quickly Loki went from being a bad guy to a good guy, it would be hard to argue that the episode wasn't brilliantly written. Maybe that's why the episode is rated 8.6 on IMDb. Then we have episode 2 of Loki at number 11. In the second episode, the God of Mischief joins the TVA in their search for one of his more mischievous variants. He finds his target in the end and finds out that it's a female version named Sylvie. By the end of the second episode, the show is still finding its feet, but fans couldn't help but be drawn in by the time-traveling chaos, and it's rated 8.7 on IMDb. What's more, episode 4 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier at number 10. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier mainly focused on the legacy Steve Rogers had left behind. We saw Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, and John Walker trying to live up to that legacy as they saw fit. We think this episode had all of the good parts, like how the rivalry between the two heroes got worse and how John Walker became more unstable. Even better, the 8.7 rated episode ends with one of the most shocking and gruesome scenes in the MCU, which fans still can't get out of their heads. Not to mention WandaVision episode 6 at number 9. The 6th episode, a Halloween special, was about Evan Peters' unexpected appearance as Pietro Maximoff. We saw the show's many mysteries starting to make sense when Wanda's spell became clearer to both Vision and the viewers. Also, the 8.7 rated episode shows how much we care about Wanda, despite the horrors she has done at Westview. And we think this creates a very interesting moral dilemma that later episodes will build on. Now let's look at number 8 on the list, the 4th episode of WandaVision. WandaVision's 4th episode took a big turn compared to what had happened in the first 3 episodes. It focused on the ongoing investigation of the Westview anomaly by the FBI and SWORD. Unlike most of the other episodes, We Interrupt This Program doesn't try to be a sitcom parody. Instead, this 8.7 rated episode explains some of the mysteries about Wanda's hex and sets up a surprising and interesting partnership between Rambo, Wu, and Lewis. Following up, we have episode 4 of What If at number 7. What If, the first animated anthology series in the MCU, looked at all the different ways the multiverse could work. One of the things that were looked into was how Doctor Strange lost Christine Palmer, which made the Sorcerer Supreme try to save her by hoarding power and destroying his own reality. This is without a doubt the best standalone episode of What If, getting a whopping rating of 8.8 on IMDb. And in the end, Strange Supreme's dark path is a hauntingly beautiful look at how grief and power work together. Now let's look at number 6, episode 5 of Moon Knight. Moon Knight, starring Oscar Isaac, introduced fans to a new superhero in the MCU who had a case of DID because of his personal problems. In this 8.9 rated episode, which explains how Mark Spector's different alter egos came to be, fans are taken on an emotional journey that deals with very serious issues. This story was written so well that it helped people understand Mark Spector's past. It also gave fans one of Oscar Isaac's best performances to date, which is clearly a good sign for his time in the MCU. At number 5, episode 5 of Loki. Damn, another Loki episode? During this 8.9 rated episode, Sylvie and Mobius looked for Loki, and Mobius eventually joined forces with the God of Mischief and his different forms to find the mysterious castle at the end of time and get inside. Journey into Mystery makes the most of the idea of Loki's different forms coming together at the end of time to have as much fun as it can. Also, classic Loki, played by Richard E. Grant, is a highlight, and his final sacrifice has become one of the most talked about parts of the show. Coming up next, WandaVision's episode 8 at number 4. In the 8th of WandaVision's 9 emotional episodes, Agatha Harkness tried to figure out how Wanda Maximoff got her power. So she and Wanda go on a trip through Wanda's mind and memories, which forces the Avenger to relive the worst things that happened to her before she put the hex on. Fans see for the first time how horrible her life has been, starting with how her parents died suddenly and violently and how Ultron killed her brother. All of this leads to one of the saddest episodes of WandaVision, giving it a rating of 8.9. Now for number 3 on the list, episode 5 of WandaVision. Tonally, WandaVision's 5th episode was a parody of Full House. It also pushed the show's main message of accepting loss and seeing the beauty in grief. The 8.9 rated episode also builds up the tension between Wanda and Vision, who discovered his wife's wrongdoings in Westview. And with Peters' debut as Quicksilver, this episode is the turning point in WandaVision. Not to forget, at number 2, we have episode 8 of What If. In the 2-part finale of What If's first season, viewers were asked to imagine how Ultron might have won. We saw Ultron successfully obtain all 6 Infinity Stones in the first part of this 2-part season finale. He then leaves reality and goes on a rampage throughout the multiverse. This shocking and scary event makes the Watcher finally break his oath and get involved, which brings the Guardians of the Multiverse together. Some fans didn't like this episode because they thought Ultron's rampage downplayed Thanos' role in the MCU, but critics gave the story high ratings anyway, resulting in a 9 on IMDb. Also, there were a number of storylines in the episode that could lead to many more what-if situations in Season 2, and we're all waiting for that. Last but not least, at number 1, we have the 4th episode of Loki. In the 4th episode of Loki, we see the relationship between Loki and Sylvie continue to grow. After creating a Nexus event to stop the end of the world, Loki and Mobius are finally brought before the mysterious Timekeepers. But their plans go wrong, and in a shocking cliffhanger, both Loki and Mobius are cut off. The 4th episode, rated 9 on IMDb, builds on this theme by answering some questions from earlier episodes. The Timekeepers are shown to be fakes, Sylvie and Loki start to fall in love, and the idea behind the TVA is called into question. And at the end, a twist hints that more Loki variants are coming. That's all for this video. What are your thoughts on this list? Do you have any other favorite episodes that didn't make it to the list? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.